Hello, good evening. Welcome to the very first, the temple, the practice run, if you will. I'm starting my words there. I'm so out of swing with things here. The first, the sample, the wee test, if you will, for the Celtic World Order. If you're taking the time to join me, then let me introduce myself if you don't know who I am already. I'm cWo, and I will be, I suppose, the face that runs the place around this place. Going to be the figurehead of the podcast, if you will. But in due course, we'll have more persons coming on, contributing and giving some quality views. So, if you don't know myself, as I says, cWo previously was part of the Boise Bus podcast, a fantastic podcast, and I want to go and extend my thanks to all the guys at the bus for my time there. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Had a great time working there, and gave me the bug, made me want to continue to do this. So thanks to them. And to clear up, because everybody likes a little, a wee rumour mill, there's no bad feelings on the bus. It's all good between myself and the guys over there. And hopefully you'll get to see some regular faces from there as well, coming on here and giving their views as well. Anyway, cWo, before we kick off, what's it all about? Well, if you didn't work it out for the name, it's a Celtic podcast. I know, another one, another Celtic podcast. But listen, variety's the spice of life, isn't it? You can't get enough content around the club that we all love. So, cWo, as I say, is a start-up right now. Our operation is small, but there's always some good room for some rapid expansion. So, if you want to help me and you want to help this channel and this cause out, do me a wee good turn. Hit the subscribe button on the YouTube here. If you want to go a wee bit crazy, a wee bit mental, you can share the video, give it a thumbs up, all that kind of stuff. It just helps get the reach out there more. You'll see in the comments underneath, there's social media there for us. You can connect them on X, or as it was previously known, Twitter, and that's at cWo-pod1888. There's also a Facebook there if you're still into that kind of thing. And of course, this is going to be the main hub of everything that goes down with this podcast. So what's the format going to be, I suppose you want to know? Well, welcome to Breakdown. This is when we're going to look at the matches previously. That's exactly what it says on the tin. I'm going to aim for a show schedule that per week spread across the week. Times will vary, but again, if you hit the notification, you will get updated as and when that's going to be going down, so you won't miss it anyway. 3 shows. We'll be going for the standard, the pre-match. Does exactly what it says in the tin. We're going to look at the games ahead. Then we'll have the breakdown that we're here. And then somewhere in between, we'll have a general chat, news type show, which we're calling cWo Uncensored. So that's the housekeeping out the way. There was a game to talk about. And I know what you're saying. That game was yesterday. That's old hat. Well, do you know what? I'm going to be completely honest with you. I've been kicking this down the road, kicking the can down the road. I've been putting off and finding a million and one reasons to not go live, but then thought, do you know what? Let's just do it. Let's go out there and make it happen. So it was a big game. Let's not kid ourselves on. Livingston in the past has not been particularly good to Celtic. That tragic pitch, that, how would we say it, defence ball that you get out of Martindale and his boys have never really been, until recently, a sort of happy playing ground. So it was always going to be imperative that we got a wee bit of momentum in the game, particularly with our rivals managing to get a penalty assisted and some questionable decision assisted win there at Ibrox. So we had to keep momentum, we had to keep our points going, and we had to, most importantly, get that psychological edge, staying on top as we look towards next week. So when we started off the game and the lineups were announced, I'm not going to lie, and I don't know how you guys feel about it there, I was surprised Reilly comes straight in. And we know he was obviously played a bounce game, he got some time into his legs there, but you've got to say, it's particularly in that plastic pitch. It was at first asked the question, Carter Vickers and Hatate, was it risk or required? And it turns out it was actually a bit of both, because albeit we had a clean sheet and we were fairly robust and untroubled by Livingston, there was still 1 or 2 slightly unsavoury defensive errors in and around the likes of Scales, who is unfortunately fallen a wee bit by the wayside. He stayed solid, but he's still prone to a wee giving away possession and finding himself in an awkward position. So undoubtedly, Carter Vickers in there, you know what you're getting from him. He solidifies that back line, he installs confidence in everybody around him. Absolutely had to happen. As for the Hatate one, well, of course, with McGregor not being there, it was always going to be, you know, do we put him straight back in? Do we go with that Bernardo and Awata situation with a Reilly? No, we're straight in for Rio, and we got to see exactly. Reminded us he's a cut above, absolutely oozing class, and as Paddy's saying there, absolutely outstanding play from him. Everything he done was just first class. He speeds the game up. His awareness, gets the ball, pivots, or he pushes on, and certainly he got the free will to do that because we had Awata playing a wee bit more deep and offering that sort of classic number 6 defensive position. And that gave your guys like Reilly a wee bit more space to be creative, and certainly Hatate, who made his impact right off and managed to get a goal. I suppose you'll call it his goal. We'll take it any way that it comes. But first half, you know, let's just run through it. First half was frustrating, I'll be honest with you. I thought that recently performances have looked as if they're on the upshot. It looks as if there's a wee bit of improvement. We take Hearts aside. It's certainly looked on I saw a lot of people complaining, a lot of people not happy online. Indeed, no shots on target until late into the stoppage time isn't great. But I felt that you could see what we were doing. I thought that the wee bit of swagger there, the speed, the passing, the intensity, it was all there. It was just missing that wee bit of extra quality in the final third. Probably didn't help that we were putting a lot down with Maeda, who, let's face it, his final product as far as a ball or anything else goes wasn't particularly great, and that was frustrating. But I was positive going into that half time there. I didn't feel that, although there was only the one shot on goal, we didn't really have any cutting edge attacking poise. I thought that they were doing everything right. It just wasn't coming off. But then the second half, we seem to, we just spring into life, don't we? And a guy who's been much maligned is Nicholas Kuhn. I'll be honest, I'll hold my hands up. I thought at first, after the brief outings that I saw him, I thought, we've made a cunt of this by signing him. But he seems to be coming to the fore in the past few games. And actually, he's proven to show the signs of what we were hoping he'd got. We all seen that interview. We all seen when he signed, and he was telling us about how he was wanting to excite us. He wanted to get on the ball. He wanted to make things happen. He wanted to attack. And then it was as if he looked, you know, when he came on the pitch, at times he looked like a guy that had won a raffle and been picked out the stand. But he's starting to come good at the right time, and he's offering us a lot more attacking threat down that right-hand side. And that itself, building the confidence for him, his performances, man of the match performance yesterday, that can only help him as we go into the big game at the weekend coming up. So it says we had a much changed with the McGregor. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was the very first time that we've seen in a competitive match that midfield combination, Awata, Rio and Reilly. And I felt that it worked. It worked only, well, not only, it worked predominantly because we had Rio Hatate really pulling the creative strings and getting the drive going there. And as I say, Awata sitting in, being deep, doing the unfashionable, unpleasant work, just making things tick over. Reilly, he gets a goal, but he's still not hitting that peak. So hopefully, again, get into this big match at the weekend. That's one that's really going to pick him up. So what was the overall of the game? Well, it was comprehensive, was it not? 76% possession that we had, 21 shots at goal eventually with 10 on target, 3 goals. And as I say, that Celtic DNA, that passing, that purpose, I felt that was back, and that's reflected. 658 completed passes in that match on that tragic pitch. You know, that's back to the numbers that we were churning out through the famous Ange ball that we all seem to love and fall in love with. And of course, at the other end, rarely troubled. One heart for Joe Hart to make. One save is what that man had to do. He could have got out of the deck chair, pint slippers, it was that easy for him. So the goals in the instance, there wasn't too much stuff that was actually really happening. Thank you very much, Terry. It's great to see you as well, mate. Always a pleasure. See, one of the bus boys, quality. And absolutely as well, Steve-O. I thought the wide players, they need to up their game at the weekend. We can be wasteful, and as we say, as we touched on Maeda, it wasn't fantastic, but as we know, he's known to terrorise Rangers in a particular right back, so watch this space. So anyway, coming back to the game, the instance, the penalty, was it a penalty? Give us your thoughts. I'll be honest, when I first saw it, I thought to myself, no, I'm not sure, I don't think that is. But then I watched it during the half time, I saw it from all different angles, and it is a stonewall penalty. And it's no surprise Celtic don't get those, do we? Even after putting in a complaint about the implementation of VAR, seeing our manager getting penalised for that and sitting up in the stands watching, we just don't get those decisions, do we? It's clear as day. The defender is behind cWo. He positions his ball. Yes, he's slightly off his feet, but that's because he's trying to make a sudden turn, and he's trying to shield the ball. He's trying to get to the ball, and the boy takes out his left leg, so much so that he ends up following the guy's knee. Nothing given. A 2 minute, not even a 2 minute, a 2 second check, and that was it. Even when the man's down, you're thinking to yourself, we're going to be sitting here, we're going to get one of those lengthy reviews. Nah, get yourself up, kYo, play on. What do you think? Was it a penalty? I certainly do think it was, and I think there's a cause there, but the most important and the good thing about it is it didn't come back to haunt us, and we can complain about it in victory rather than complain about it in a loss or a draw. So as it says, it took us a while to get the goals going, but the three of them came in the second half. The first, I think, again, Kuhn shows his worth here. Very similar to that Maeda against Rangers in the cup final. He just goes in. He's no right to win that ball. He sneaks it off the defender. He slides it across to Rio. He takes the shot. He's bouncing about all over the place. Pinball wizard. Eventually, it smacks off the boy's chest and into the net. 1-0. Perfect timing to score. And do you know what? It kicked us right into life, because that's what we needed. We came out of the traps at the start of that second half. We knew what we had to do, and we took advantage. We kick on then, and the subs come on. We start to get an instant impact there from Bernardo. What's your thoughts on Bernardo in general? Like my wee bit of tea there. What's your thoughts on him? I mean, he's been through that stage. I would probably say in his time with us, I'd say he's maybe had about 4, maybe 5 good performances at a push. So I'm still unsure as to do we make that a permanent fixture or not, but it doesn't matter because he comes on yesterday. He just continues to show things up, and he gets himself on the score sheet. A nice wee cute 1-2 with Reilly on the edge of the box. He takes a shot. There's a slight deflection again, but we'll take them every single way that they'll come. 2-0. The game's dead. Get the body bags out, up the road. That's where you want to be seen. And then again, for the third, our subs making an impact again. Yang, a guy come back off his suspension. He was looking lively before his unfortunate suspension. So again, hopefully that's going to give us the options. It's going to give us a wee bit more attacking prowess coming off the bench, gives us that option and keeps the legs fresh so that we're not dropping off in quality. He comes on, makes a menace himself, gets into the box, who holds it up nice and easy, slots it through for a Reilly, and it's a wee easy side foot in the net. I think he mishits it a wee bit. The goalkeeper probably should save it. He gets a hand to it, but it's just got enough to keep by him. 3-0, that is it. Good night, it is all she wrote. And we probably should have had a fourth. Young Kelly is on the end of a good chance. Forrest, again, another guy there. James Forrest, he's come on the last 3 games and he's contributed. It's good to see because, again, I'll say it, I was one of the ones that was kind of slightly writing him off. I was thinking to myself, James Forrest has nothing to offer. But in his recent cameos off the bench, he has come on, he's made a menace himself, and he's shown something to the James Forrest that we do know. Provides a great cross. Young Kelly's at the back post. I don't know if he just panics. I don't know if if he's not expecting it. He really needs to just attack that header, and it's going straight past the goalkeeper. Instead, it's more of a gentle header back to the keeper, and it's easy. all said and done, 3-0, a clean sheet, some good performances right at the optimum time as we go into the game at the weekend. So happy all round. And I says, we'll just look back at the team, we'll look back at the goods and the positives, the negatives. There is still something in there. As I says from the off, the big positives, Carter Vickers, Hatate, absolute rocks. That spine of the team. You've got confidence at the back. And I believe that Joe Hart, although he's prone to a mistake, when he's got Carter Vickers marshalling that defence right in front of him, he is, there you go, William, exactly. Solid. What a difference a quality centre back makes there for us. You know, guys like Welsh and Scales, they've been doing all right when they've come in, but as I've often said about both of them, they are an option. They are not the solution. But with Carter Vickers beside them, we can get away with it. We don't want to be getting away with it, you know, as time goes on. But at this moment in time, we can get away with it. Again, we've seen a Rocky on the bench. Hopefully, that means that he's going to be eventually, I don't know if next weekend or this weekend, sorry, it's probably a wee bit too soon for him. But I would hope that as time goes on, he's going to be the guy that's the number 2 to Carter Vickers. I think there's plenty of promise in him. Yes, he's had a couple of shaky outings, but you know, he's got vast experience at pro level, and there's no reason why he can't thrive and eventually take that starting berth alongside Carter Vickers. So, yeah, Carter Vickers, spine, shows up the defence, installs confidence, and installs confidence in Hart, because Hart, I think, is, if he's got a chop and change defence in front of him. Hatate coming in, again, I can't say it enough, just game changing, literally game changing. The speed, the tempo, the intensity, you can just see he's a cut above what we've got. I think looking at the weekend, you're going to find it's going to be a Water that's going to obviously be the one that's going to make way, because we're going to expect Cal McGregor to be back in there. And I think we've got to be starting that classic midfield of Hatate, McGregor and Reilly when we go to Ibrox. As I say, in terms of the maybe room for improvement, it's been said, Maeda, he's going to start, let's face it, when it comes to the weekend, he is going to start. He's worked great, he's a menace, and you know, he's had Tav on toast pretty much every time they've come up against it. So what he lacks in that final bit of quality, he's going to make up by getting Tav pinned back and into a position that he doesn't want to be in. The bit that he's supposed to be, the defensive side, the bit he's not very good at. So he's a straight in, he's a shoe in. But you know what? In the post-bald era, he's got 4 goals, no hair, no flair. Maybe we're going to get a surprise package and another Ibrox goal for Maeda this time round. Who knows? Stranger things have happened. Good odds on that if you're a betting person, I'd say. And what's the other slight room for improvement? For me, it's still Scales. Now, I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to criticise the guy and write him off. Scales has indeed been a breath of fresh air, a surprise package, something that we never thought was going to be coming. And he's proven and he's earned his way into the side. But as I said, he's an option. He shouldn't be the solution. He's earned a new contract and the right to a new contract. I would say, yeah, definitely, he's worth keeping around because he's better than some of the options that we've had in time gone by. But I think that maybe he's buying into his own hype a wee bit. The way I would always describe him is when he first came in, the reason he was so good and he was so effective was because he didn't overthink his play. He didn't try to do stuff that he wasn't capable of. He knew his limitations and he played to those strengths. Now, I don't know, he became a fixture. He's a Celtic first teamer. Is he getting into his own hype? He thinks he's this, all of a sudden, he's this ball playing centre back, which he just, let's face it, he isn't. And we've seen time and time again, teams stand off. They allow him to come and try to run out with the ball. They allow him to try and pick a pass because they know that more often than not, he's probably going to make an error and it's going to get somebody to, you know, get in there and get a chance against us. So I think that's something that he really needs to be cutting out his game. He's been largely solid when he's came up against Rangers, but no matter what you think of Rangers, they're going to be up for it, because this is a game that we're getting into at the weekend that ultimately could decide the title's destination. You know, it's imperative for us simply do not lose at the weekend, but at the same time, we've got to ensure giving ourselves the best possible chance of clinching this title. And let's face it, the only way we can do that is 6 points from 6. You could say, well, it doesn't need it. We can draw and win our remaining games. Of course, we could win the league, but doing that. But the reason I would say that we need the 6 points is, and I'm sure that you'll agree with the sentiment, is if we end up beating them and we go 1 point ahead, makes the game at Dundee a lot harder for them. It makes that more mentally taxing. They could drop points. Then, more than likely, the next fixture is going to be fixture 2 at Celtic Park after the split. Let's face it, the authorities aren't going to want to make that match further down the line when it really could be the all or nothing decider. So it's going to be right at the front end of those fixtures. If we can do that and we can write them off in 2 games back to back, it is all said and done. They will collapse. And I genuinely believe that when we go into this weekend match, if we can beat them, it will burst their ball. But equally, I think a defeat for ourselves would be hugely damaging. And even though we're starting to show the green shoots of progress, I think that it could be detrimental to our mindset and maybe see us fall back and lose points. And not to mention as well, if it's nip and tuck and you're talking literally a point in it with the remaining games, you know, I hate to be a conspiracy theorist, and I'm sure people will be saying, oh, come on. But that's when you'll see the dark arts coming out. That's when you'll see minutes added on, minutes in certain games. That's when you'll see the questionable penalties. That's when we'll see the questionable, you know, non-penalties like we saw at Livingston. You know, call me a conspiracy, but I can't help but feel, based on the balance of what we've seen so far in this season, stranger things have happened and stranger things would happen. So it is imperative that we get maximum points, give ourselves the best chance, and completely take charge of this game. So, just to quickly look forward to the game then, as I says, we'll come back on throughout the week and I'll have someone else joining me and we'll be looking at that very game. But what is your thoughts on the game at the weekend? I know we're only start of the week, but let's face it, every day is Derby Day and the build up to game. It's the thing that's on our minds, it's the thing that's on our lips, and it's what we're talking about. How are we going to shape up? As I says, I'm confident that we will be able to turn a corner here, that we will be able to get the better of them once more, because our best performances have actually been against Rangers. You know, this season's been a real roller coaster. It's not been pretty on the eyes at most of the time, but we've always seemed to rise to the occasion against Rangers, no matter what. Now, as I says, I think it would burst their ball. Why do I say that? Well, you know, if we look at the way the things have panned out, the narrative that's been changed around the Celtic and around Rangers and how either team is performing, it's almost been a perfect storm, an alignment of stars for Rangers. Because let's not forget, whenever they changed their manager, when they found themselves the best but at 8 points behind us, they were in absolute turmoil. We were getting it's a rebuild, it's this, it's that. They then get in their new manager. And I think, yes, he has made them a better side, but he hasn't really done anything for me that's out the ordinary. He's made them a team that you'd expect them to be. They're winning games, yes, but you would expect them to win those games in the normal run of things. The only difference being is they've started to win games as we started to lose and draw and drop points. And if I'm being honest in my assumption and my guessing around it, I don't think whenever we initially first dropped points that Rangers and their players was thinking, yep, that's it, we're back in it. I think it was, oh, they've dropped points, that's nice. But then the next time when it happened, it was, oh, they've dropped points, oh, they're actually a wee bit closer now. But then when it happened again, that's when they started to really maybe believe, and that's when the momentum kicked in. So their run, if you will, has just been, it's been a combination of, yes, winning games, but good fortune for them as well that we've been falling away. But now we look as if the stars are maybe aligning for ourselves. We've got guys coming onto form. We've got quality players returning from injury. And we look just more like our old selves. We go into it with the point on top. Yes, 1 point, 1 goal on top. And albeit they do have a game in hand, psychologically, that puts a wee bit more pressure on them because it makes it definitely a must-win game. And as we've seen historically, when the real pressure's on and the real hard, meaningful games, they don't often do too well against us, do they? So that's something that we've got to take full advantage of. And as I says, I just feel that if they were to lose that match, there's a lot of core players in that team that are mentally scarred from constantly be perennial losers against us. And I think that would just tip them over the edge. That notion that what do we need to do to beat them? What do we need to do? And that is something that should be going through our players. I'm sure it will be going through our players' minds, going through the managers' minds, that we need to hit home and drive home our dominance that we've had for the most recent seasons that have came and gone. So everything to play for at the weekend. I'm excited. I can't wait. And when we look at it, it would kick us on, and it would really prove a point. And the narrative again would change because it was a rebuild when they were behind, but they were back. And if you don't remember, they were going to win the quadruple. They've already won a cup, and they've got the best manager in the world, the best team, and they're back. We're back. You know what I mean? That's what they're all about. You can just flip that. A reminder that where they are on the totem pole as of late, and I think having the mental capacity, the mental strength, and having that over your opponents, over your rivals, that's massive in football. But that's for another conversation. I've rambled on. We've went half an hour. I must admit, it's a bit peculiar. It's a wee bit strange sitting here, trying to do it all on your own, trying to think on the hoof, not having those people to bounce off. But I've been fortunate enough to have, 30 people sitting watching this. You know what? For a show that was fired up about an hour ago, I'll take that. And as I says, John Stones need to start by what was Martindale thinking there? I'm assuming it was some sort of joke, or was he just that far gone that he'd forgot himself and forgot where he was? But do you know what? Listen, happy days. As I says, 3-0, clean sheet, top of the league, top of the table. 1 point, 1 goal, a squad raring to go, plenty of options to come off the bench. I think the stars are aligning. I hope that I'm not coming back here at the weekend and I'll be, tail between my legs and eating my words, but got to be confident. I've went on record, you'll maybe seen me on social media, and I've says that I've never really been overly confident, and I actually went as far to say I don't think Rangers will beat Celtic at all this season, but still going to win the league. But it's funny, and that's one of the great things about being a football fan and a Celtic supporter is you can always be surprised. Your team will always do something, and just like that, they'll change your perception, they'll change your mindset, they'll get you excited, and they'll get you believing. And I'm believing, and I don't think anybody else shouldn't be believing. We got into that game at the weekend in a good place, and it's been a long while since we've been in a good place because it's been a up and down season. It's been a mixed bag, but we can make it business as usual come the weekend. Let's get down to business, you could say. Well, anyway, as I say, thank you for taking the time out your evening. It's now 12:15. Some of you are going to have to get to work, my good self included. So thanks again. As I say, if you like what you see here, despite my wee tripping over my words at times, give me a wee share, give me a like, subscribe. It just helps. I want to build this channel up. I want to reach out sorts of different fans, and I want to get a wee community going on here. As I say, we're all Celtic fans. We're all singing for the same hymn sheet, and any support that can be offered, I am eternally grateful for. And as I say, I'll be back through the week. With a guest. You'll be glad to hear. So you won't have to just look at my big and listen to me rambling on. So I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully some of you guys and girls can join me for that there, okay? So whatever you do with the rest of your week, enjoy yourself, take care, and on the hoops, because we've got a job to do and a game to look forward to. So thank you very much. Good night. Take care.